CCTV Camera World is proud to provide support for products purchased from our website. If you purchased your product from another vendor, please contact the vendor you purchased from for further assistance.
We're going to show you how to add a camera to replace an older camera on your Avalonix Premium Series systems. So I have a PoE system here, and here is my NVR that has PoE ports built in. This is a 4-channel and it has 4 PoE ports on the back. This is the first one on the top left. This is a network port. I have a HDMI monitor and a mouse connected, and this is the power connection. So the HDMI cable is connected to my monitor that lets me use the NVR with a mouse connected to the NVR so I can do configuration changes on the NVR. In this case right now, if I show you to go to the main screen here, and I'm viewing one channel, or I can view 4 at a time, it says this first channel failed to find network host. That means the camera is not discoverable by the NVR. So you could go to main menu, go to camera, and then go to channel list. On the top, this is showing the cameras it can find on my network. You may not have anything here, but on the bottom here it shows me that there was a camera connected to D1, which is port 1 on the back of the NVR. So that's right over there. And that had a camera that is now showing a status red that is not working. Now, if you can't get a monitor connected to the NVR and you want to access it using a web browser from your network, you need to make sure you have a PC that's on the same network. So they're all together. This thing and that are on the same switch or router or network so that they can actually talk to each other using a local IP address. Before I jump onto my PC, I'm going to show you that if you were to use a monitor connected to the NVR and you go to the network settings on the bottom, you would find under TCP IP the IP address that's set on your NVR. So here for this NVR, it's 192.168.1.101. This is telling me that this cable coming from the LAN port where the lights are blinking, going back to my switch, has a 192.168.1.101. Now, if I had a monitor, I could easily then type that into my web browser on the computer on the same network and then pull it up like so. But if you can't do that, you need to use something called the Config Tool. That's for the Avalonix Premium Series products. We have guides on how to install the Config Tool, where to get it, and do the search. So if I do a search on my network by making sure I've selected both current search segment and other segments, if for something nothing pulls up for you, make sure both are selected. I'm giving you a crash course on this Config Tool, and you did a search, it would find your devices. I have lots of devices because we have a lot of products here on the network. I can narrow down my list by clicking on model until I see all the NVRs pull up. And here is the NVR 1.101. This matches what I found on my screen right there. Having the screen is instrumental in allowing easy setup. Otherwise, if you don't know how to do IP addressing and connect to things over the network, this may get complicated for you, but we're making that video so you can follow along. So now I know my IP address for my NVR is 1.101. So I go and open up Edge. So I'm using Edge. Depending on your firmware and how old your NVR is, you would type it in a web browser like here. I'm just doing it to show you how you should follow along. And you should get a web page like this. Then you type in the password of your NVR. We like to use a default password on our devices since 2019 that is written on a label on the top of the NVR there. If you changed it, then it's going to be something else to log in. Once you log in here, you go to settings on the top, you go to camera, and then you'll see that same screen on the bottom where it says a red dot for the status of your current camera. Let me go back here. So these menus on the NVR and on the NVR's HDMI interface and the web interface look almost identical. Red dot here, red dot there. So you could delete this entry and connect a new camera. Or you could try just connect the new camera. So I've got a new camera here. I know what the IP address of this is. I've configured it, and if we sent you a new camera, it's gonna have an IP address of 192.168.1.109. Now I'm connecting it to port 1 on the back of the NVR. I'll wait a few seconds for it, let's say 30 seconds, and see if this status changes. So for some reason, if your camera doesn't connect, the good thing about a monitor is if you were to go back to the main screen, it may change and give you a different message. And we like using monitors for that because it's more communicative than the web interface. I'll let this kind of sit here and see if my message changes. So here, what happened now is the monitor is telling me that, hey, PoE1 is now occupied by another IP address, confirmed to delete it. Okay. So I deleted it. And then what happened? It brought up my camera automatically. So going back to that other screen I had, if I had said no, cancel, and then I left that prompt over there, I could have just entered the password there. But then having that monitor lets you delete the entry and let the NVR automatically reconnect. What it did is it has this camera has the same password as this NVR. The NVR is intelligent enough to delete the entry and reconnect it using the admin password on this NVR, which is equal to the admin password there. And it reconnected it without me having to do anything. Okay. So let's say you don't have that monitor. What do? So I went back and goofed up the password for channel 1, and I'm back at that screen where I'm seeing this on the monitor. Will you see this on your computer, on a web browser? No, you won't. So when you try to connect to it, it just won't connect. That's why having that monitor is key. So what you could do is two things. If you have a monitor, you could type in the correct password. So here, I know the password of my camera, which is the default we like to use here, 10I, capital L, and it connected. So now I can see it also on my PC. That's one way to do it. But there you go. If you don't have that monitor, then let's do something else. I'm gonna go and mess up the password again one more time on my camera and make it not connect. And guess what? As soon as I did that, it's giving me that password error field again. So what I could do here is now I could go on the web browser interface. So if you forgot where I was, after I log in, I go to Settings, Camera, and then I find the entry that is red. I could delete it, or I could edit it. I'll just show you how to delete it. Press OK. Now, since my password is the same on the NVR and the camera, the NVR may automatically reconnect, or I can find it in the search menu on the top. I see that here. If I just click on it, the NVR automatically connects it, and guess what? I got the camera working right there. And then if I refresh it here, scroll down, it's changed to a status screen. That's good. Another thing you could do, if you're really fancy, you could delete this entry. You could go to Manual Add, and then select the port the camera is connected to. Type in the IP address you know you set on the camera. Well, you don't know what you set on the camera, because when you connect a camera to the back of the NVR, the NVR gives it a dynamic IP address. So that's why you can't do that manual add on things connected to the NVR on the back PoE ports. That's only really good for things connected to a PoE switch connected to the NVR's LAN port. Hopefully you're following along. So now I'm going to refresh. While I was talking, the NVR added it automatically. So these NVRs are very intelligent. They make it very easy for customers. As long as you delete your old entry or you haven't changed the password on your NVR, if the camera password and the NVR password are the same, the NVR is intelligent enough to add the camera again. If you change the passwords on the NVR, it won't be able to do that. Or if you have a very old NVR with a different password, like admin, it won't do this. So let's say I go back here again and I have a password issue. You can always edit the entry and change that password. So let me fudge it up again. And I'm going to change the IP address, the password. It says status red. It won't connect. On there, it's giving me that, hey, enter your password. What I could do is just on the web interface, hit edit, and then change the password to the correct password. Hit refresh, turns green, camera's right over there. So if you're editing entries, all you gotta do is change that password, as long as you're using one of the compatible Avalonix Premium Series cameras and not a third-party camera. Thanks for watching.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.